Snag's lap. Mate, get up at Snag's lap, look out, get on it.
So Snag, we managed to get the big beastie in the studio. That was a bit of work,
I
wasn't
tell
it?
you what, only just though. Only just. You don't realise how big these things are until you get them in a confined space.
Mm.
It's a bloody great Luxo barge, isn't
Doesn't
it?
help that you got about 100 bags strapped to the back of the thing.
Well, Spence, if you're going to be on the road for 4... In fact, let's talk about what this is all about. I am going on Snag's lap, of course. I'm Snag and Australia is Australia, so I'm going to do a lap for Australia. Now, I always plan to do that. For years and years, I've been always wanting to. I said, when I turned 60, I think I said it when I was about 40, and I thought 60 was about 1,000 years old, of course.
Mm.
And now I am 60, I realise it's not 1,000 years old, but I really wanted to do a lap of Australia on my own on a motorbike. Anyway, long story short, we arrive at my 60th birthday and Mr. COVID's on the planet.
Bloody thing.
Bloody thing. People whinging about hundreds of thousands of deaths. Don't they realise that I was missing out on my Snag's lap?
Don't they know who you are?
Don't they know who I am? Anyway, so long story short, then I got ready to go, packed everything up, and then Mr. COVID again. So we're in limbo at the moment, but we are getting close to going. So I've done my map route, which has been a lot of fun, and purchased everything I need to be on the road for 4 months on my own bike, the S1000XR, which I own and love. I'm still yet to find a better motorcycle. And she's chocker. There's about 50, 60 kilos of gear on the back.
One thing I must say, like one of the benefits of you having so much time to prepare for this is you look so prepared. I mean, it seems like you've got a knick-knack for everything.
I have got a knick-knack for paddy wagon.
Yeah.
And the dog gets a bone on the way through.
Indeed.
No, I have. Look, in all seriousness, people have seen this loaded up and said, oh, you know, the old, if you've got the kitchen sink and all that sort of stuff.
Mm.
But what you do have to realise is I'm living for 4 months on the road. This isn't hotel rooms. This is living in a tent. Now, if you think about what you use over 4 months of your life and try and distill that down into 2 bags on the back of your motorbike, you'd be surprised how many things you do. You need to cook, you need to eat, you need to wash, you need to keep the bike running.
Yeah, not to mention the actual motorcycle specific stuff. I'm sure you got tools and stuff in there and spare parts and all that.
Well, punches, you know, you've got to be able to fix on the road. It's a 22,000 kilometre ride.
So you're going anti-clockwise, aren't you, starting in Melbourne?
I am, yeah. There's reasons for that. Well, there's quite a few reasons. One of the main reasons is, surprisingly, and I've only learnt this stuff by, you know, I was a baby in the woods and getting involved in forums and reading up, and that's been a lot of the fun, actually, a lot of the preparation. But the headwinds, there's far less headwind going that way. So headwinds are annoying on a motorcycle, and they're very annoying for fuel consumption. So, yeah.
There's so much you've got to think about, isn't there?
And the other thing that you've got to think about out there, really important, is for anyone watching this overseas, Australians will probably know this, but when you get in the north, you get into the tropics and the more arid zone up north, there really isn't 4 seasons. There's dry and wet. And you just can't travel in the wet season for 2 reasons. It's way too hot, surprisingly. And we have rain in the north where it's just, you know, we think we know about rain. Until you've seen monsoon or tropical rain, you've got no idea. It can rain for 5 days and you'll be in 2 foot of water in 5 minutes. So it is, you've got to think about that. So there's a small window where you can go. So you've got to think about your geography, your topography, and your timing. And a lot's got to collude for that to work. You get about a 3-month window leaving from Melbourne to go around Australia. The way COVID's been, forget it. It's been really tough, but there's a lot to think. It's a really big place. It's opened my eyes to the wilds of this place. It's a frontier.
It's underestimated, isn't it?
96% of Australia hasn't seen a human foot.
Yeah.
That's what I read.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
wild, isn't it?
I mean, what?
I often think, you know, if we were living in the UK and you were to do this magnitude of a trip, you'd probably traverse like 10 countries or something.
You could go right across Europe into Russia.
Yeah.
But look, I'm thrilled to be doing it. I'm beside myself with trepidation. You know, I won't lie that it won't be good. It's good mental stimulus for me. I think I need something to get out on my own and have a bit of a feel about, you know, where I am in life. And I just adore being on a motorbike. I'm happiest when I'm on a motorcycle. I always have been. For some reason, every problem I ever had could be solved from the seat of a motorcycle. And I'm not saying I've got massive problems, but I'm 60. I haven't been to too many 100th birthday parties lately.
No.
You start to see the other end. And that's not being sad, that's life. But I want to, while I'm reasonably fit, I mean, I'm certainly not a gym junkie, but, you know, you don't do this at 90. And at 60, you've still hopefully got your wits about you and you're strong enough to do it. My idea is get out of town. So about 4 months away from you, you'll have to run Moto and do all the work.
Oh, geez. How will I cope?
That'll be a change, mate. And I'll be, of course, updating you with regular instalments from the trip, people I meet, places I go, issues I have. I know that this is not going to be all Tinkerbell. There'll be problems, but that I'm sure is what makes a great trip. Where you know you face your problems and deal with what comes up on the road.
You know, it's an expedition in a sense. You know,
there's not many places in the world you could do a 22,000 k trip, and I won't see people for most of it. So most of it I'll be on my own. So I think that's where you do your best thinking when you're on your own. And look, there's so much to see it. I mean, it's a beautiful, beautiful place. Massively huge, and you can't get a feel for it until you get out in the outback how bloody big, remote and ancient this place is. So I want to connect with the Indigenous possibilities. I don't know a lot about it, you know, Indigenous Australia, and I want to. And so I'll be open to taking into that sort of stuff at night, reading, putting a tent up, cooking, making sure this girl's in perfect nick, sending stuff back to you when we, you know, if we can find some Wi-Fi, eating, drinking, and out on the road for 4 months. Will you miss me?
Of course I'll miss you. But I know that you were speaking recently to Brian Ricks, who's probably the most accomplished adventure rider we know.
Yes.
And you were saying that there's like so many little hidden tricks that you must know that if you don't prepare for, they'll bite you on the arse out there.
Yeah, and look, Brian is probably, I'm lucky enough to know a bloke like Brian.
He's forgotten more about
forgotten more about adventure travel than I'll ever know, and I've picked his brain and I will continue to do so. This is where the internet's been fantastic too, Spence. Look, you can get on there and, you know, if you've got half a brain in your head, you can work out the chaff from the wheat. Who knows what they're talking about and who's having a land. And you quickly understand that you can find anything out. Little tricks like, you know, if you see one donkey out there, be careful because they travel in pairs. That was just a
never would have thought about that, would you?
And, you know, it's one of the big dangers of being out in that road. There's camels, there's donkeys, there's bullocks, there's wild dogs, there's dingoes, there's kangaroos, and they all want to headbutt a S1000 XR. So little things like that, not being out on the road after 4, a whole bunch of stuff that people have told me about, where you can camp, where you can't. Security, that's another thing to think about. You got to, you know, you walk away from this bike. You know, the bike's $33,000.
Should get knocked off, man. There is a lot that could go wrong.
$33,000 worth of motorbike and about $4,000 worth of equipment.
Yeah, and your whole trip.
Oh, my whole trip. You know, if they find me, it'll be a skeleton sitting on you. I'm not leaving it, no matter what. And that's where things like I've got. Well, I can run through a bit later everything I own, but in here, an EPIRB.
Cool, yeah.
Which you have another great tip. a fella told me, he said, don't have your reperb on your bike, because he said if you have a prang, there's a fair chance you can't get to it.
Could be 50 metres away.
So you have to have it on you. Stuff like that. And that just sends out an emergency. I don't think I'm going to be madly needing an emergency, but motorbikes fall over, and I've fallen off plenty of them.
Is that where you have most of the stuff that you need to be able to grab?
Day-to-day stuff, sunglasses, wallet, keys, sunscreen, that stuff that you can... That's another thing with the packing. I've packed this 6 times and I've learned the right way to do it, the wrong way to do it. Where you want to be able to get the stuff in panniers easily. Which pannier has got what in it? Nothing worse than you go to the pannier, which one? You get to know where everything is. Stuff you don't use all the time. All my camping stuff is in one bag. So when I get off the bike, my tent, everything on my bed, so that's all in one bag. Get that off, get ready, put the tent up. I've got to the stage where I can put the tent up. First time I put the tent up, it looked like I was in it. It was just a flummox. I looked like 2 puppies under a blanket for about 2 hours. Now I can put it up in about 40 seconds. Simply because there'll be times when it's pissing down rain.
I reckon you'll get it down to such a fine science though, once you've done it for, the second month straight, you'll be able to put that up like a, I don't know.
like a bloke that can put a tent up.
Yeah, exactly. That's the phrase I was going for.
Well, I think these are the things that you get good at. Jimmy and I did a bit of Jimmy Brand, our business partner. We went on a bit of a ride together. We had a ball just because Jimmy's got everything that opens and shuts, and he's another very good resource, because if you ever want a bloke that researches stuff, that's Jimmy's thing, and he's very good at... He gave me a lot of advice about what to buy and what not to buy. And, we went and did a test session with our stuff, which was great fun, and we learned what works and what doesn't very quickly. And look, there's a bit of crap and there's a bit of really good, really, really good solid advice. I hope to come back from this trip being able to say, look, I reckon I learn a lot, and hopefully pass that on. And of course that brings us to, I want to be able to stitch together our little videos and pastiches that I'll send to you to make a little, what I'm calling a movie, but...
vlogs.
Yeah, vlogs, and stitch it all together. People I meet and the fun I have, and, the places that I see. And, hopefully I've got a bit of a sense of humour, and I don't mind taking the piss out of myself. And I really haven't seen a great video. I'm not saying I'm going to do a great video, but of one bloke on his bike doing this. Around Australia. And we're well set up at InfoMoto with all our camera gear. I've got a quarter of a clue how to use it. And who knows? We'll see what comes out of that. But look, I think people will be interested, and I know that this is going to be a life-changing event for me, and I just can't wait. Except I'm very tired of Mr. COVID. Having said that,
it's really put you off, hasn't it?
Oh, well, it's 14 months I've been waiting now, and I was ready to go.
Yeah, you've had about 5 hard deadlines to leave.
Well, June 1 I was going to go, and May 27 they locked us down again. Now, I can't complain, but look, it's a minor, first world problem. I can't get on my $33,000 motorbike and go for a ride. So I'm keeping it in complete perspective, but I won't say it hasn't given me the irrits.
Oh, well, it'll be frustrating, the fact that it's all packed up in your garage, calling out to leave, and you've got to walk past it in sort of like...
Well, Spence, I've had this loaded up for 3 months.
Yeah, I know.
And I've been getting on the train rather than riding my bike because I don't want to unload it. So here's me getting on the train with my magnificent bike, and I go out and talk to it. I went out there and spoke to it the other, because it does speak in a German accent, this bike, and I said, "Where are we going? I'm sick of this." So you do get close to your bike, and I think that's another thing. I think if you've got to rely on your bike, it becomes a bit like a horse. Like, I know that I'm going to have to look after this and do regular checks and keep maintenance up, because this is my lifeblood out there.
I've always found that, we get press bikes all the time, we ride bikes, and it's just part of the job, but when I've taken a bike on a trip, I've grown a huge affection for it, even if it's just interstate,
Your own bike. Yeah. There's something about riding your own bike, and again, it sounds arrogant, but I've had access to every sort of test bike you can possibly think of, and I'm very thankful for it. I love the fact that I get to ride motorbikes and other people's motorbikes. I don't lose sight of the fact that I'm very privileged. Having said that, there's nothing like going past your place and we're going away for 3 days. I'm on this. We're going to have a homespun week, 3 or 4 days away together at a pub in the bush. I'd rather that than just about anything.
Yeah.
It's the ultimate to me, to go with friends or family on a motorbike trip. Just about my number one.
Yeah, it's probably my favourite thing in the world.
Yeah, and there's a feeling about that when you set off on that morning. I don't know, you drive out of your street you're a different bloke. And I think that this trip is that on steroids. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if I'm quite emotional when I leave, because I'm leaving Millie. That's another thing, my beautiful dog. I'm leaving you guys. I'm leaving everybody, and it is an emotional thing. It's 4 months. Okay, 4 months. It's 5 minutes. It may be longer. You know, I may go feral.
I love the saying, I'll butcher it, but it's something like, in every great moment in your life, you had butterflies preceding that moment.
Yes. You know? Yeah, a bit of fear is a good thing.
Things worth doing often are emotional and difficult.
Yeah. I'm scared. I'm scared. I haven't challenged myself like this. I've had a bloody easy gig. I'm not, it's not Mount Everest without oxygen either. I mean, let's face it, I'm riding a motorbike, but it is 22,000 Ks and there's tyre changes to think of, there's services to think of.
It's just a lot of time for something to possibly go wrong. You set up, if nothing goes wrong, it'll be a piece of piss.
Something will
definitely go wrong.
There's no doubt, something will go wrong.
Yeah.
Well, the other thing I've got to tell you, I've got 1 point left on my licence.
Oh, no.
Now, that's the other thing, I mean... I got 3 bloody fines doing nothing. 84 and a 60. No, it wasn't. No, 74 and a 60. Anyway, I got 3 in a row. So that's 9 points. You only get bloody 12. So I'm now on 11, I think. So I've got to go 22,000 Ks without going over the speed limit on a bike that'll do about 560 kilometres an hour.
Probably does 120 at first, wouldn't it? Just about.
160, actually. But look. The point is, I mean, that's my fault.
Yeah.
That's my fault.
Yeah.
So I'm already riding like a granny.
If you get back and you say you selling it for a track bike, we'll know what happened.
You will know what happened. And look, I love our boys in blue, but I tell you, if you've lined them up, the twos and blues, I'm off, boys, because I only got 1 point. So you're going to get me on a lot of things.
Yeah. Yeah, all in.
So look, I'm fabulously nervous and excited, and really looking forward to doing this. Great to have MOTO coming along.
Oh, we're all really proud of you, man, and you're going to have a great time. And we've got the merch. You'll notice the shirts.
MOTO shirts and the Snags lap and
stickers. If anyone wants a sticker, they can.
Oh, that's what I got to tell you too. When we get out there, I overdid it on the stickers. It's a long story, but we've got a lot of stickers, Spence.
Yeah, a lot.
We're right for stickers. So what we're going to do is I'm going to give them out to kids and whatever, everybody along the way. And the person that sends the best placement of a Snag's Lap sticker, if you can get one on Parliament House or a police car or...
Maybe don't.
No. I've wound our friends up.
1 point.
1 point, yeah, that's true.
Well, folks, I just thought I'd quickly run through some of the stuff, well, not some of the stuff, all of the stuff that I'm taking on my lap of Australia. Let's start from the top. Of course, I'm doing tons of video work. So this is all camera equipment. You can see in the 3 blue boxes there, and cables and electricity. There's a lot of charging to be done. That's just a, what do they call those things, Spence? Tripod. This here is all cooking stuff. Great little... I can't remember the name, MSR little cooker. It's fantastic. Just runs off one of these. These open up into pots. Of course, knife and fork and plates and stuff. This is a 5 litre fuel bladder. I'm hoping not to need it, but I figure, well, you know, it's going to be good to have fuel right out in the middle of nowhere if I get stuck. WD-40, you know, never leave home without it. Jump starter and power pack, really important. If I run out of power, that will get the bike going, plus I can charge equipment. Lone Rider tent, fantastic in as much as it has room for the motorcycle and me. Love that. A -8 degrees Black Wolf sleeping bag, that should keep me warm. Next to that you'll see is a Helinox cot. Now that basically goes under this mattress, which is self-inflating and keeps you off the ground, which I'm told keeps you warm. Mattresses on the floor, cold, I'm told. A couple of cheap tarps from up the road because, you know, you want to keep water out of your tent. Camp chair. People reckon camp chairs are stupid until you've stood around a campsite for days. Let me tell you, Helinox, good stuff. Same as the cot, that was Helinox as well. Expensive. That's another thing. Bought everything. I own everything. I paid for everything. So if I tell you it's any good, it is. If I tell you it's no good, it's not. I'll tell you all that stuff when we get home. A wild ass seat, because it's a long, there's a couple of 800-900k days, and I'm told, even though last time I tried it, I didn't like it, but I'm gonna stick with it because they say if you persist, you can't live without them after a while. So I'll give that a go because I do get a sore ass. First aid kit, really comprehensive first aid kit. Hope never to open it, but expensive, survival. I mean, why wouldn't you? In there, I won't bother opening up, but is my tools. There's a whole bunch of stuff. There's Torx, there's Allen keys, bunch of spanners, zip ties, tape, bunch of stuff. Just to get me out of trouble if I have to do a quick fix. Puncture repair kit, no brainer. You'd be crazy not to have a puncture repair kit. Fire blanket. Tents and fire don't get along very well. Also, if you have anything like liquid fire blanket. A good padlock and cable. If I have to leave the bike somewhere for more than 5 minutes, I'm certainly going to make it hard for them to pinch it. I mean, if they really decide to pinch it, they'll have it. But I've got a really good Lockwood lock, and this thing's rated pretty highly. Was expensive. Food. This fits in one pannier. I got this from Target. I don't know how much it's going to keep things cold, but it will certainly be, I can put fruit, vegetables, enough that I can cook each day. And that fits precisely in a BMW pannier. So Mr. BMW, if you're thinking about a good idea, that is a good idea. This is the other pannier, and within there is a bunch of stuff like jock socks and that sort of stuff, brushing your teeth and all that. That's all the clothes I'm taking. So there's a couple of t-shirts, a jumper, pair of thongs because I hope to live in thongs when I'm off the bike. That all fits in one pannier. So it looks like a lot of stuff, but it's 4 months on the road. So hopefully I've got that right. They tell me I'll find out on the trip. I'll send some stuff home and I'll have to buy other stuff. But I figure I'm ready to go. So there it is, Snag's Lap. Please keep an eye on infomoto.com.au, and importantly, check in on our YouTube channel, which will have all the videos. Subscribe there because it just makes it a bit easier. Of course, there's our newsletter too that you can subscribe to. But look, infomoto.com.au, we are feeding you about motorbikes. I am so pleased to be doing this Snags Lap, and I hope you can get some of the fun of the fair along the way.